Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here representing Jason Blaha Strength and Fitness, and today I want to chat with you guys and gals a little bit about the importance of carbohydrates and healthy fats for really gaining lean muscle over time. But a quick reminder, if you guys will please click like down below, it'd be greatly appreciated. If you're not following or subscribed, please do so. And if you'll be kind enough to drop me a comment down below, I would appreciate it so much. So, these are topics that I think that we have to think about. We have to understand if we're going to talk about nutrition, we're going to talk about gaining muscle, while minimizing body fat, improving performance, improving athleticism. Like these two things have to be discussed. It's not all about protein. Because again, outside of the context of protein overfeeding, we only need a fairly high protein diet to really maximize muscle growth. And beyond that, it's not even necessarily efficient. So we start talking about exceeding about 1.5 grams per kilogram of body weight, or about 0.8 grams per pound. We're getting into an area to where it's not necessarily helping you gain muscle or make lean gains or anything else anymore. It may be useful for protein overfeeding in very, very, very large amounts. Okay, so we have to understand the value of both carbohydrates and healthy fat. Now, when I say this and I'm promoting higher carb diets, I'm not saying all carbs are equal. I'm not telling you that you should be eating a bunch of refined sugars. Okay, so I want to be clear on that. No one's telling you to be eating table sugar or high fructose corn syrup or all these refined sugars. This is not what I'm saying when we're talking carbohydrates. I'm talking starchy carbohydrates. In many cases, higher fiber forms, right? Such as oats, whole grains, legumes, right? These are a really good start. But in many cases, sure, it can still be white rice. It can be white potatoes. In fact, white potatoes are great. But we're talking about starchy carbohydrates or very fibrous carbohydrates or even fruit, right? Fruit in the context of a whole food, not a fruit juice, not squeezed out and the fiber and pulp removed. Fruit. So these are the sort of carbohydrates I'm talking about. Okay. In other words, beans, rice, potatoes, stuff like this, watermelon, these are what I mean by eating a higher carb diet in terms of benefits. Right? We need to be thinking of what improves insulin sensitivity, not what reduces it. Okay? Because that is kind of the point of all this, even with the healthy fats. Right? Insulin sensitivity is king. Obviously, weightlifting is about the best thing we can do in terms of our activity. Obviously, other stuff like cardio conditioning work is still beneficial here. In fact, there can be some synergistic benefits. But, in terms of diet, we need to be looking at what's going to improve insulin sensitivity. Well, that's going to be usually starchy or carbs with some extra fiber. So even then, so people say, well, how come you'll sometimes say the white rice? Because white rice mixed with vegetables works extremely well. Like if you're throwing plenty of broccoli and carrots or even extra potatoes or sweet potatoes in there, it still is very viable. And particularly in the context of when we mix with healthy fats. Right? So we're looking at insulin response, we're looking at training fuel. So insulin is not this bad thing either. Insulin is insanely anabolic to muscle tissue, and in the normal ranges, it's great for body composition, right? So people who have a healthy insulin response, you should be eating insulinogenic foods for gaining muscle. It is not going to cause fat gain and these other problems. People start talking about, well, what about spiking your insulin? You can't. If you are lifting really hard, you're relatively lean and your diet is geared towards insulin sensitivity, you can't spike your insulin. This doesn't happen. White rice is still not going to do it particularly. Okay, so we need to understand that. So we should be chasing these insulinogenic foods. And we'll get back over and talk about that in a minute. So let's talk a little bit about why healthy fats. So let's just define what we mean by healthy fats. Generally, MUFAs and PUFAs, polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fats coming from minimally refined sources. So I'm not telling you to drink a bunch of seed oils. I still don't think they're the worst thing in the world by any means. They're nowhere near as bad as saturated fat. The evidence supports that. But I'm not telling you go dump canola oil in your food. Let me be clear. So when I say healthy fats from MUFAs and PUFAs, I'm talking natural peanut butter, nuts, seeds. But I mean, if you're struggling to get enough calories, natural peanut butter is the bomb. Okay? But avocados, like this is one of my top ones. Avocados, nuts and seeds. Oh man, we up at the top of the list. Avocados, amazing. right? It's mostly oleic acid, like you would get from extra virgin olive oil. So anyone who's talking about the benefits of extra virgin olive oil, go eat some avocados. You're getting the exact same fat. It's the same fatty acid chains. It's the same molecule, right? But it's got a lot of antioxidants, plenty of fiber, kind of like olives do. So olives would work too. But nuts, seeds, particularly if they're a little higher in omega-3, like walnuts, right? Great choice, right? Walnuts, almonds are a good choice. So any of those, but nuts and seeds in general. Healthy fats, particularly healthy fats in a whole food source with fiber added, this is going to improve insulin sensitivity. So these fats all improve insulin sensitivity. They all lower inflammation. Don't let people tell you, oh no, they're pro-inflammatory. Study after study after study after study around the world shows they reduce inflammation. All right, this is beneficial for training recovery. Like before we even get into the heart health end, yeah, they're absolutely heart healthy. Reduced inflammation. But they're going to help with exercise recovery. But the big part of it, the improved insulin sensitivity. Okay, these foods enhance insulin sensitivity. This is beneficial for muscle growth. The higher your insulin sensitivity is, the easier it is to make lean gains while minimizing fat. So these fats literally do that in and of themselves molecularly. But then when you think about it, so you're eating these sort of fats, it does the same thing with the carbohydrates you eat, just like the fibrous carbs. Case in point, white rice mixed with avocado, you're going to absolutely slow down the absorption, but you're still going to get the nice, easy digestion benefit of the white rice. But you can do it with brown rice too. It still works, right? So that's a perfect example of what we mean. Avocado, you could blend it up and make guacamole and mix it in there. Also works great. Avocado mixed in with your carbohydrates, or any of these. Right, you could take oatmeal and mix oats or natural peanut butter or something with it. The same thing. We're getting over to taking these starchy carbohydrates that we need for insulin response, we need for training fuel, we need as our primary fuel source, but also our training fuel for any high output activity. You're now getting a healthier, more controlled insulin response and blood sugar response from it by mixing them with these. The net effect is improved insulin sensitivity, improved anabolic response. This is insanely beneficial for building muscle. And again, building muscle and making lean gains, even recomposition. This is the way you should be eating if you want to be recompositioning also. So these foods are critical, right? So yeah, once those needs are met, going in and filling in everything else that you want to eat with healthy carbohydrates, nice clean carbs like we're discussing, with healthy fats, such as examples of what I gave, and even you could say even fatty fish in that context too, if you wanted an animal source, will help you reach these goals. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative. I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.